Hello and welcome back everybody. So today I want to talk about something that was released on the internet just a while ago, and that's something that I think is a scan from volume 16 of My Hero Academia. There was a page that really caught my attention with Horikoshi's supposed assistant's original villain designs. Now, the reason why this caught my attention is because we know in this series of My Hero Academia there are villains and there are heroes. So the fact that we see these original villains kind of made me think that maybe, yes maybe, at some point in the future, these villains, maybe not these exact ones, but something that is inspired by these villains will be used in the actual manga. Especially if we look at one of the messages on the actual page, which I think is from Horikoshi and not the assistant. He says something like, "I was surprised that everybody drew up some original villains when I asked, so here they are, larger than life, they're also cool, I want to use them." Now, if this is Horikoshi saying this, that actually means that he has plans, or at least potentially has plans, to use at least one or two of them, maybe not all of them, but he might add some of these villains into the story of My Hero Academia at some point in the future. As to when that's gonna be, well, that's a bit hard to tell. I mean, I don't think they're all just gonna be added into the story right now, of course. I believe that if they're added, it's going to be in a very good fashion. They're going to be added when a new villain needs to come into the story. He will just find a way to add them in. You know, maybe they're not going to be the most important characters, you know, they're not gonna be like a Shigaraki or an Overhaul. They're not gonna be on that level. They might belong to a different villain organization. They could belong to the League of Villains at some point. Like, they could join the League of Villains, because we know that there are more villains needed in the League of Villains before they can actually become a proper organization. Like right now, the elite in the league isn't really that big. I mean, you have Toga, you have Spinner, Dabi, Mr. Compress, Twice, because they did lose quite a few villains during the hideout, and I think some even during the field trip arc. Like, they lost Moonfish, they lost Muscular, and Magni was killed, so they need to fill some of these spots, you know, and I think adding some new villains could actually be a good thing in that way. Obviously, I also want some villains to be part of a different organization, because I do like the idea of having more than one villain organization. Like, we had the whole Overhaul thing, of course, which is one example of what could happen. We could have another different sort of group of villains that could come into the story at some point. Not really too soon, I hope, because right now, obviously, Bakugo, Todoroki, and quite a few members from Shiketsu High are redoing the Provisional Hero License exam. So it's gonna have to be after that, I think. I don't really want this Hero License exam to be interrupted by villains. I think that would be a bit too predictable, honestly. So maybe in an upcoming villain related arc, that's when I would like to see some of these come into play at the very earliest, maybe even later, you know, but I don't want them to come any time sooner than that. I mean, we don't know if these villains are actually going to be added into the story. It's just something that Horikoshi has been hinting at, you know. It could just be that he wants to use them, but he might not find a good way to actually add them into the story, in which case he wouldn't really do it, because he's not that desperate, you know. He'll only do it if it's actually gonna work for the storyboard. And when you think about it, like, since it's his assistant that has drawn these, you know, it's more of a bigger chance that they will be added into the story, given that he's in fact his assistant, you know, he helps him do his work. That's what an assistant do. And it does look like he kind of, you know, he knows how to draw. So obviously he probably helps him ink and all of that stuff. I don't really know, but that kind of gives me more of a reason to think that these villains could be something that we might be seeing in the story. I mean, Horikoshi might sometimes need help with inspiration in terms of design. I mean, you can only go so far when it comes to designing characters, and having help from someone else might actually be a good thing, because you might not have thought of what someone else was thinking, and when you then see their designs, you're like, oh shit, I could have done this. So having his assistant help him with villain designs, that's something that I could actually see to be a good thing, because I'm not really that picky that Horikoshi has to be doing all of his own work. I don't really see the point in him having to be the sole creator of his story. I mean, yes, he's still the storyteller, you know, he's the one who's writing the story. Anyway, I think I'll be ending this video here, so let me know what you think about these new villain designs that we may or may not be getting in My Hero Academia at some point in the future. And as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I will see you next time.